In the thriving town of Camelot, a group of rowdy locals, acting on the prince's orders, relentlessly bully and intimidate a young immigrant boy named Merlin. But in a stunning twist, Merlin's humble appearance conceals a powerful secret. He's a powerful sorcerer sent to rescue the prince from an ominous darkness that threatens to destroy him. It all started a few days after Merlin arrived in Camelot to seek greener pastures. Walking through the kingdom's bustling streets, he's left in awe by the city's impeccable beauty and high level of architecture, and couldn't help but to admire it. Just as he finds his way inside, he witnesses the execution of a man by the ruthless king, Uther Pendragon, for practicing magic in the land. Uther resents magic, and it is decreed that anyone found guilty of it will be executed without a second thought. The locals gather, and in the presence of everyone, the king gives the order, and the man is beheaded. He then gives a speech confirming that before he ascended the throne as the king, the kingdom was once mired in chaos. However, with the combined effort of the people, sorcery was eliminated from the land. He ends by declaring a celebration in commemoration of the success and second anniversary of the capture of the last living dragon. Just when everyone is about to leave, a woman cries out from the crowd. She accuses Uther of being the actual evil, revealing that the man executed was her only son, and swears to make Uther pay bitterly.
Before these celebrations are over, you will share my tears.
The king orders his men to seize her, but she escapes by using magic to cause a whirlwind and is caught up in it. After the incident, everyone returns to their various activities. Merlin approaches a guard at the palace and asks him where he can find a man named Gaius, who happens to be the royal physician. He's directed upstairs, where he sees a directive on the wall, leading him to Gaius' room. Upon opening the door and entering inside, he sees him up on the balcony, trying to put things in order. Gaius turns to see who it is, but accidentally slips and falls. Merlin intervenes immediately by using magic to suspend him in the air, after which he causes the bed to move under Gaius, and he safely lands on it. On getting up, Gaius asks Merlin how he did it, to which he responds that he has no idea. However, Gaius claims he knows what he did and inquires where he learned it. He asks if he ever studied magic, but Merlin says no and reveals he was born that way. Gaius says it's impossible and demands to know him. In response, Merlin retrieves a letter from his bag, addressed to Gaius from Merlin's mother, before introducing himself. At this point, Gaius vividly remembers him and confirms that he has been expecting his arrival, but not earlier than Wednesday. Merlin reminds him it's Wednesday, and Gaius subtly nods in agreement when he realizes it. He then shows him where to keep his belongings, after which he thanks him for saving his life.
I should say thank you.
That night, while Merlin opens the room's window to have a breathtaking view of the city, Gaius sits on his bed to read the letter from Merlin's mother, Hunith. In the letter, she begs Gaius to look after Merlin and help him discover the purpose of his gift, as their village offers limited opportunities for him. After reading the letter, Gaius carefully folds and files it. In her chambers, we see Lady Morgana, who happens to be the king's ward. Morgana is a beautiful, resourceful young woman and is loved by many. Uther approaches her and inquires to know why she never showed up for dinner, to which she replies that she's unhappy with the king's harsh stance on magic, referencing the earlier incident. Uther defends his action as a mere justice, aimed at serving as a warning to potential offenders. About leaving, Morgana warns him that persecuting those who practice magic will only bring him enemies, and urges him to amend his laws. The scene then shifts to a woman named Helen, a famed singer slated to perform at the king's festival, aided by a few guards on her way to Camelot. The people eagerly await her arrival, but something extraordinary happens. She's ambushed and killed by the woman whose son was executed by Uther, and we get to learn that the woman's name is Mary. She uses magic to transform her skin to mimic Lady Helen's, but when she looks into a mirror, her old skin still reflects, revealing the spell's limitation. In the morning, Merlin is awakened by an unsettling voice that calls out his name. However, he doesn't think much of it and shrugs it off as he leaves the room to be with Gaius, who is already awake and making breakfast. Gaius serves the meal, but deliberately knocks over a bucket of water, which prompts Merlin to use magic and suspend the bucket midair. When he realizes he's been tested, he releases the bucket, allowing it to fall with a splash. Gaius is surprised by Merlin's exceptional abilities and inquires to know how he did it, wondering if he silently incanted a spell. Merlin dismisses it as a mere coincidence and swears he does not know magic. Gaius senses Merlin is hiding something, but chooses not to press the issue. Instead, he hands Merlin a medicine to deliver to a patient, along with some pastries for him to eat on his way. But before leaving, he reminds him of the consequences of using magic and warns him to be cautious. Merlin hurriedly delivers the medicine to the patient, but upon returning, he witnesses a disturbing scene of a knight bullying a serving boy, using him as a target for his knife-throwing practice. The knight repeatedly throws several knives at the servant, who is expected to deflect them with a shield. Merlin is unhappy with this, and when the shield rolls in his direction, he steps on it and demands that the knight stop. Unaware of the knight's true identity, Merlin addresses him rudely, prompting the knight to challenge him to a fight. The knight effortlessly subdues Merlin and reveals himself as Prince Arthur, Uther's son and heir to the throne. Merlin is arrested for fighting with the prince, and he's thrown into a cell where he spends the night. Meanwhile, Mary, now Lady Helen, arrives in Camelot and is welcomed by the king and his court members, who are happy to see her. In the evening, while she sits to eat with Uther, she comments on the difficulty of Arthur growing up without a mother and remarks that the bond between mother and son is nearly impossible to replace. In the cell, while Merlin sleeps, he hears the voice calling him again and jumps up in a bid to know where the voice is coming from. He bends to listen, only to get interrupted by Gaius' arrival. Gaius scolds Merlin for not heeding his advice, but tells him he's pleaded on his behalf, which gets Merlin excited. However, he reveals that Merlin will have to pay a price for his freedom. Merlin is sentenced to a day in the stocks, and children are instructed to throw vegetables and fruits at him. When the children run out of vegetables and go to fill their baskets, a lady by the name of Guinevere, or Gwen, walks up to Merlin, revealing herself to be Morgana's maid. She compliments him for standing up to Arthur and reveals that everyone in the town sees him as a hero. As they talk, Merlin jokes about being in disguise, and they both laugh. Not long enough, the kids arrive, and Gwen has to leave so they can continue from where they stopped. After everything that day, and on getting home, Merlin sits to eat with Gaius, who recalls the promise he made to Merlin's mother to look after him, revealing Merlin's gift is special, one which he has never seen before. Merlin questions as to what use it is if he can't use it, and inquires to know if Gaius ever studied magic. Gaius reveals that he once did, but stopped after Uther banned it 20 years ago, because people at that time used it along with some mythical creatures like dragons to commit crimes. He further reveals that though Uther had all forms of sorcery eliminated, he chose to spare one dragon, which he imprisoned in a cave underneath the castle where no one can free it. The following morning, Merlin is awakened by Gaius, who instructs him to deliver several medicines to his patients. One is for Morgana, who is suffering from nightmares. Merlin arrives to find Morgana changing clothes behind a mirror. Morgana mistakes him for Gwen and asks for his help around the mirror until Gwen arrives, saving Merlin the embarrassment of being discovered. Morgana asks Gwen for her opinion on whether to wear a purple gown or a revealing red dress, and give the people a night they will remember. Merlin goes to deliver another medicine to Lady Helen, who needs it for her voice, but on his arrival at the lady's chambers, he discovers a puppet and a strange book in her private quarters. Just when he tries to go through them, Helen returns and notices her room's door is open, so she quickly goes to check and sees Merlin, who convinces her that he had seen nothing and quickly gives her the medicine, then leaves. On his way back, Merlin passes Arthur on the street, who taunts him into another confrontation. At first, Merlin tries to brush him off, but Arthur's jab about their previous encounter strikes a nerve. Merlin responds, admitting he never knew who Arthur was, but still won't accord him the respect he deserves as he calls Arthur an ass and mocks him.
You can't address me like that.
Seeing that Merlin refuses to take corrections, Arthur throws him a mace and then advances with his own. Merlin awkwardly tries to handle the weapon, but as the fight escalates and crowds gather, Merlin, aware that he can't defeat Arthur, resorts to using magic tricks to distract, pin his leg, and causes Arthur to trip over a rope. While this happens, Gaius sees them from his room and rushes to the scene. Arthur catches his foot in a bucket and stumbles, but quickly regains his footing and knocks Merlin down after Merlin becomes distracted by Gaius's disapproving gaze. Surprisingly, when Arthur's guards try to arrest Merlin again, he orders them to release him and confesses to finding Merlin amusing.
There's something about you, Merlin. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Later, Gaius scolds Merlin in his quarters, emphasizing that magic should be used for the right purpose and not to fuel petty conflicts. In an emotional tone, Merlin reveals his insecurities and admits he's as good as nothing if he can't exercise his powers.
If I can't use magic, I might as well die.
He storms off to his room, with Gaius following to tend to his wounds. As Gaius treats him, Merlin questions the purpose of his gift and whether it makes him a monster. Gaius sternly warns him against such thoughts and offers him pain relief. That night, Merlin is again awoken by the same voice and sets out to find its source. On his way out, he accidentally knocks over a bucket, which almost wakes Gaius, but he uses a spell and causes him to sleep deeply, and he smiles. He scurries through the night, tracing the voice, and arrives at the entrance of the cave where he sees two guards whiling away the time, absorbed in a game of dice. He uses his abilities to distract them, causing them to move away before grabbing a torch and going inside. He notices that the more he goes deeper, the more the voice becomes clearer, and he follows its direction. He finally gets to the end of the cave, and there he finds the dragon that Uther imprisoned. The dragon tells him that he's destined to use his gifts to protect Arthur from potential dangers and enemies alike, who seek to harm the young prince. Due to his differences with Arthur, Merlin tells the dragon that he's got the wrong person and insists he can't. The dragon tells him that he has no choice but to make sure Arthur is safe, as he is the only true king foretold to bring back magic to Camelot and reunite the people. After which, the dragon flies to his comfort. On the day of the celebration, and a few minutes before her performance, the king sent a maid to deliver a gift to Lady Helen. But on entering the lady's chambers and putting things in order, the maid unveils a mirror and accidentally discovers Mary's identity. As she attempts to leave, Mary grabs her hand and slowly kills her, after which she dumps her body in the chamber and leaves. The grand celebration begins with the guests' arrival, and Morgana makes a striking appearance in the revealing red dress, captivating the attention of every man, particularly Arthur. However, the night takes a dramatic turn when Uther arrives and introduces Helen, unaware that she's Mary in disguise. As the court settles in to enjoy the performance, Mary casts a spell that rapidly ages the castle, covering it in cobwebs, and puts everyone, including Uther, to sleep. Merlin, having protected himself by covering his ears, remains awake and witnesses Mary prepare to throw a dagger at Arthur and intervenes immediately. He uses magic to cause a chandelier to fall on her, ruining Mary's plan. The song stops, and the enchantment is lifted, revealing Mary's true identity. In a final, desperate attempt, she throws a dagger at Arthur, but Merlin swiftly intervenes again, using his magical abilities to freeze time and pulls Arthur to safety. The dagger harmlessly passes through the air and lands on the chair, foiling Mary's plan once more. Seeing that her mission is unsuccessful, she passes out and dies. As a reward for saving Arthur's life, Uther appoints Merlin as Arthur's servant, but neither Merlin nor Arthur is pleased with the decision.
You shall be rewarded.
No, honestly, you don't have to, Your Highness.
The next day, Gaius decides to give Merlin a gift. He enters his room and hands him a magic book, with the instruction to study it in secret. Merlin is excited by the kind gesture and promises to learn every word. Just then, Merlin is summoned by Arthur, who requests his service, and he hurriedly goes to answer his duty calls. Let me know what you think about this video by dropping your comments and reactions below, and please, don't forget to like and subscribe.